Welcome to this mini tutorial on how to download third-party assets and installing them in MakeHuman. I will in this tutorial assume that you are familiar with MakeHuman and that you have started it at least once on your computer. The examples are made in Windows, but the procedure is largely the same on all platforms. See the wiki for information on how to find relevant directories on your platform. So what is all this about? In late spring and early summer 2015, the MakeHuman project reorganized a bit. I won't go into all the details, but one major selling point was to separate the responsibilities so that the core project would no longer have to take responsibility for user-created content. This also opened up for a more accepting attitude towards the same on those sites that moved on to what is now the community part. One notable thing that happened was the new repositories for user-created content, such as clothes and targets. At the point of making this tutorial, these functions are a bit experimental, but there are already some contributions made. Before continuing with the details, I will stress that we are talking about user-created content here. The crew will be very annoyed if you complain about these to someone official. If you have comments or questions on a specific asset, you should contact the individual author. Anyway, a quick introduction to what we are talking about in practice. If you ever started up MakeHuman, you will have seen that there are lots of things to configure regarding your toon. The most reliant part are the sliders, but there are also clothes and skins and so on. These assets are not defined in the program as such, that is, in the source code. Rather, they are a collection of files on the hard drive. Some assets only consist of single file. Some assets, such as clothes, have a small number of associated files for one piece. For example, clothes may have one file for the mesh and one for the texture and so on. When I say assets here, I'm talking about these files individually or collectively. The main focus of MakeHuman has traditionally been body modification, or what's in the lingo called targets. This is a huge set. For other things, such as clothes, the collection is somewhat smaller. In MakeHuman's case, you can find all the assets in a directory called data in the installation directory. However, if you downloaded a build, you will find that they have been compressed into NBZ files. A little known fact is that this directory is not the only one being scanned on startup. You also automatically get a corresponding directory hierarchy in your home directory. Under Windows, this is under My Documents. If you place assets here, they will be read on startup as if they were a part of MakeHuman. So let's download some stuff and place it there to see what happens. First, we go to the new community homepage and we click Targets. When clicking a link, we can see that access to these areas require that you have registered as a forum user. If you have not done so, just go to the forum part and click register to sign up. Even if you logged in on the forum already, you might have to log in here again, but the username and password are the same. So we go back to the target section. So far, there aren't a whole lot of contributed targets yet, so we'll just download some elf ears. Scrolling down, you can see how they're supposed to look. We right click and choose Save As, sorry for the Swedish version of Windows. We navigate to the data directory under My Documents to find the custom directory. This is where all third-party body modifications are stored. And we save the file here. Now we can start MakeHuman and see if it worked. Under modeling, the new targets show up on the custom tab. And we have elf ears. That wasn't so hard, was it? Let's see if we can download some clothes instead. We go back to the community page and look in the clothes sections. Here we have quite a lot of more contributions. If you want, you can look at the thumbnails instead of the list. If we scroll down a bit, we can find a rough example I made of a basic swimsuit. The approach for saving clothes is the same, but in this case we will need a new subdirectory for the piece of clothing we downloaded. So we create this and save the file here. Download each file and place it in the same directory. We do this for the texture too. Back to MakeHuman. Notice that you will need to restart in order to find the newly downloaded assets. On the clothing tab, we now have a swimsuit. As a side note, often clothes are intended for subdivision of the export, so they might look a bit low poly and maybe rough around the edges when displayed inside MakeHuman. This was basically what the presentation was about. If you downloaded an asset, it would be helpful if you rated the piece so other people can get an indication of which pieces are worth downloading. There is no quality control in the repos. The hope is that they will self-regulate through user ratings. If you want more info on assets, for example on how to create them yourself, try visiting the wiki on the community page. Thank you and goodbye.